Fatima's world tilts on its axis after an unspeakable violation. Her breath hitched in her throat, ragged and shallow. Tears streamed down her face, leaving hot trails on her cheeks. Her hand trembled as she fumbled with the lock on the back door, desperate to escape the confines of the grocery store. The world outside was dark, the streetlights casting long, eerie shadows, but even the darkness offered a semblance of safety, a stark contrast to the horror she had just endured within the brightly lit store. Fatema didn't dare look back. She didn't need to. The image of Karim, his face contorted with a terrifying blend of anger and lust, was seared into her mind. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat urging her onward. She had to get away. She had to find safety. She had always been a modest woman, her life governed by the quiet rhythms of faith and family. The recent passing of her father had left her adrift, the weight of grief a heavy cloak upon her shoulders. He had been her protector, her confidant, the one constant in her life. Now she was alone, facing an uncertain future. The need for work had been pressing. With a heavy heart, she had accepted the position at Karim's grocery store. It was honest work, a way to support herself and honor her father's memory. Initially, Karim had seemed kind, his demeanor gentle and respectful. He had offered condolences for her loss, his words a balm on her raw grief. But as the weeks passed, a subtle shift occurred. His gaze lingered too long. His compliments became laced with an uncomfortable familiarity. Fatema, still shrouded in her grief, tried to ignore the unsettling change. The change in Karim had been gradual, like a creeping vine slowly enveloping a once bright flower. His initial kindness had waned, replaced by a possessiveness that set Fatema's teeth on edge. He would often stand too close, his presence a suffocating weight in the cramped aisles of the store. His compliments, once comforting, now felt like veiled threats, his words slithering over her skin like a serpent's tongue. Fatema found herself dreading her shifts, her stomach twisting into knots at the thought of facing him. She tried to rationalize his behavior, blaming it on her grief-stricken imagination, but deep down, a seed of fear had been planted, growing steadily with each passing day. She started to avoid eye contact, her responses clipped and formal, but her attempts to create distance only seemed to fuel Karim's unwanted attention. The day of the incident began like any other. Fatema arrived for her evening shift, her heart heavy with a premonition she couldn't shake off. The air hung thick with unshed rain, mirroring the oppressive atmosphere within the store. Karim was in a particularly foul mood, his words sharp, his movements agitated. Fatema tried to make herself small, her presence as unobtrusive as possible. As the hour grew late and the last customer left, a palpable tension descended. Fatema's heart hammered against her ribs, her every sense on high alert. She moved to turn on the closed sign, but Karim stopped her with a curt word. Her blood ran cold as he locked the front door, the metallic click echoing through the silent store. She found herself trapped, her escape route cut off. He advanced towards her, his eyes gleaming with a predatory light, and Fatema knew, with chilling certainty, that she was in terrible danger. Terror grips Fatema's heart as she fights for her dignity. Terror, raw and primal, seized Fatema. Her mind screamed at her to run, to fight, but her body froze, paralyzed by fear. Karim's intentions were clear, his words a torrent of obscenities that pierced the fragile fabric of her composure. He lunged, his hands reaching for her, and a primal scream tore from her throat. She fought back with a desperate strength she didn't know she possessed. Her nails clawed at his face, her knee connecting with his groin. He roared in pain, his grip momentarily loosening. It was the opportunity she needed. She shoved him with all her might, his weight staggering back. He crashed against a shelf, sending cans and jars crashing to the floor. The sound of the shattering glass was deafening, a cacophony of chaos that briefly masked the sounds of their struggle. Just as Karim regained his footing, the bell above the door jangled. A delivery man, his arms laden with boxes, stood framed in the doorway, his eyes widening in surprise at the scene before him. Fatema had never been so relieved to see another human being in her life. She screamed, her voice hoarse but filled with urgency. The delivery man didn't hesitate. He dropped his boxes, his phone already in hand, as he dialed the emergency number. Karim, momentarily stunned by the interruption, turned towards the door, his face contorted in rage. It was the distraction Fatema needed. She didn't waste a second. She darted past him, her feet barely touching the ground as she ran towards the back door. She fumbled with the lock, her fingers clumsy with adrenaline, but the door swung open. She didn't look back. She ran into the night, the sound of her own ragged breathing the only soundtrack to her escape. The arrival of the police brought a swift end to Karim's reign of terror. He was arrested, charged, and his true nature exposed to the light of day. The community, horrified by what had transpired, rallied around Fatema, offering her support and solace in the aftermath of the traumatic event. The women of the local mosque, her aunts in faith, surrounded her with love and understanding. They listened patiently as she recounted her ordeal, their eyes filled with empathy and outrage. They offered her a safe haven, a place to heal and rebuild her life. The outpouring of support from her community, their unwavering belief in her, was a lifeline in the darkest of times. In the aftermath of the assault, Fatema could have easily retreated into herself, allowing the trauma to define her. But her spirit, though tested, was not broken. She found strength in her faith, drawing solace from the belief that even in the darkest of times, a divine light shines upon us. She realized that her experience, though harrowing, could be a source of strength for others. She began volunteering at the local women's center, offering support and guidance to those who had faced similar ordeals. Her own vulnerability became her greatest asset, allowing her to connect with other survivors on a deeper level. In helping others, Fatema found her own healing. The fear that had haunted her slowly began to recede, replaced by a quiet strength and a fierce determination to be a voice for the voiceless. Fatema's journey, though born of tragedy, had led her to a place of profound purpose. She had learned that even in the face of unimaginable darkness, hope can bloom, and help can arrive in the most unexpected ways.